Hello, welcome back to the arieknits podcast. My name is Ariel, and this is a video podcast where I mostly talk about knitting things, sometimes crochet things, sometimes sewing things, and just pretty much anything yarn related, and just other things that are happening in my life. So I'm so glad you're here. It is episode 10, if my notes are correct, which means we're in the double digits of the number of episodes, which is kind of crazy. I wasn't sure, like when I first started making these videos, I wasn't sure if I was going to like it or like how it was going to go, but it's been really fun, and it's been a lot of fun to talk to some of you in the comments and hear about what things you are knitting on while you watch my videos, and I think it's just been a fun time. It's very cool. I feel a lot more connected to more knitters and crafters in general, so it's been a good time. I have nothing special for episode 10 as far as like, I think some people do like giveaways and stuff, or maybe that's for like, I don't know, 100, no, I don't know. Anyway, I have nothing special, but just kind of exciting that it's episode 10. So, but it's just going to be a regular episode where I will talk about things I'm working on, things that I've casted on that's new, and I do have one finished object if you can kind of see what I'm wearing today. So I guess that kind of brings us to the first thing that I'll talk about on today's video, which is what I'm wearing. And last week I said, I think this was not done yet from last week's episode, but I was like, I only have the last part of the sleeve, I think, left to do, and I was able to finish that, thankfully. So now I am wearing it. This is the Peony Sweater. The pattern is by Silvia. Her Instagram handle is Silvia Knits. And I will stand up, as always, to show you what it looks like. So it has a nice folded, or I don't know, do I say folded? Because it is folded over, but it has the collar, it's double knitted, a v-neck, and it has cables all around the body here, and just long sleeves, and twisted rib on the cuff, and on the hem, the bottom here. Yes. So when I talked about this pattern in the past, I think I mentioned that while I was working on it, I was a bit worried that that maybe my gauge started getting a bit tight as I worked on the body, like where the cables are. And so I was worried that it was going to be, like the sweater is supposed to be oversized, and I was worried it was not going to be. So that's part of the reason why I knitted it so quick, because I just like wanted to reach the end so that I could block it and see how it looks and how it comes out. And thankfully, I was able to block it out and really kind of stretch it out. Like I didn't have to do too much stretching, but I did kind of really pull, especially on the ribbed part. I really kind of like pulled it out like this while it was drying. So I think it actually came out the perfect size, and the sleeve length is just right. I did have to make it a bit longer than the instructions were kind of saying, as far as like number of rows and where the decreases should be, so I did have to make it a bit longer, but I do like the end result here, and I really do like this collar. If you've noticed or you've seen my other videos, there's another sweater I'm making that also has a folded collar like this, and so I don't know if these collars are like in, as far as like being like it's the trend lately, but I've seen a lot of them and I've been super into the look of them as well, and so I'm really happy with how this looks. And the yarn I used is Sewrella. I used her sock base in the colorway You Are Good for the Soul, which is it's a tonal, I believe, pink color. And then I paired it with the Suri Lace base in the colorway The Lobby, which is the variegated color. So that's why you can see some variegation in here. And I think it's the first time I've used like a very heavily variegated Suri with something. So the colors are like blue, pink, yellow, some yellow green maybe it would come out as. So it's a lot of colors, and you can't really tell, which I think is nice with the Suri, since it does just kind of make like a nice soft color versus maybe some other base that's not a fluffy base, but you can still kind of see some color pooling, which I thought was very interesting. So here you can see there's more like of a pink blob here, and over here there's like a blue blob here, but I think overall you can't really tell, and just has an overall look of like watercolor blending. So I'll stand up again so you can see it. So I actually like how it came out. I think if I were to make this again, even though I do like the cable patterns, I really didn't enjoy making it because it's a lot of cables. So if I made this again, I would probably just make it in the plain version. But as far as like the Suri, just making it with Suri, which again, if you've seen my previous episodes, I am obsessed with Suri. I discovered it this year, at the beginning-ish of this year, and I just want to make everything in Suri. And so, yes, highly recommend making this with Suri because it's so comfortable to wear. I just wore it, like once I blocked it and it finished drying, I wore it the next day, just all day, and it was just so comfortable. It was not itchy. It was just really soft and was just the way that I was hoping that it would be, like something I can just pull over and just wear. So yeah, I'm really happy with this make. Super happy that I'm done with it and got something off of my needles this week. But that is the only thing that got finished this week. But I'm very happy with it. So we are good there. And oh, for sizing information, if anyone is interested, I made size A, which is the smallest size for the pattern, and I used US 8 size needles. Yeah. So with that, I will move on to my works in progress because I made some progress on one thing, and I'll talk about that first. So since I was, let me grab it here. Since I was on the whole Suri thing, or I still am, and I'll continue to talk about it, so I hope it's not too annoying. I made a lot of progress, I think, on my Cumulus blouse, which is a pattern by PetiteKnit. So, sorry, I'm just trying to untangle the yarn here that it's attached to. So this is what I have so far. I finished a sleeve, so I finished the body. I don't think I had the body done last time I showed this. Finished the body, finished one sleeve, and I am, I think, about halfway done with the other sleeve. And then after that, I just have to do the I-cord edging on the neckline, and then I'll be done. So it's really close to being done. It is the softest thing ever, and the weather has gotten cooler, I think, within the past week, and so I've actually been able to wear my sweaters like all day. Maybe like a couple weeks ago, starting a couple weeks ago, I would put on my sweater because it is cold in the mornings, but then after lunchtime, it starts to get hot, so I have to take them off. But I've been able to wear my sweaters all day, and it just made me feel motivated to finish this because then I know that I'll be able to wear this once it's done. And so Cumulus blouse, the yarn I am using is Explorer Knits in the colorway Fiadh, which, if I bring it closer, is a very soft and fluffy. So I'm using the Suri base, and I'm holding two strands together of the Suri, and it's a soft purple, some blue, but more of like a turquoise blue, and some pink. It's really hard to see because it's just kind of all blends together, which I really like about it. So yeah, and oh, maybe you can see it more in the back, just because there's more. Anyway, when I saw, and I think I've mentioned this in previous videos, but when I saw this colorway, I knew that I wanted to get it in the Suri base and to make a Cumulus blouse out of it, and so I'm really happy to finally see it being almost done. And I've made the Cumulus blouse previously, but with mohair, and I love it. I love the fit, but it's just a little itchy. Like, I can still wear it, but it does kind of bug me a little bit. So to finally have one soon in Suri, I think is just going to be the best thing ever. And I have plans to make more Cumulus blouses with Suri in, like, I think at this point I have 2 or 3 more colorways that I want to make Cumulus blouses with, so be on the lookout. Maybe someday in the future when I finish making all of them, I will just have a collection of Cumulus blouses that are all in Suri and one in mohair. So yeah, very excited to have this almost done. I feel like I've been pretty good with, like, filming these podcast videos have helped me to, not that I need, like, because I like knitting when I want to knit and when it makes me happy, so I don't want to feel like I'm forced to knit because of the podcast, but I do feel like it has been nice to be accountable on, like, if I say, like, oh, by next week I will probably have this done, then I feel very motivated, like, not pressured, thankfully, but motivated to finish something like this sweater. So I'm gonna say it now. I bet as soon as I say that, I'm gonna start, like, not doing the things that I say, but I mean, that's okay too. So, but yes, I will say I think I could finish this by next week. And as long as the weather keeps being cool and doesn't get warmer, then even more motivation to finish this, because as I'm just, like, holding this, like, I just wanna, ooh, like, even just it sitting here just feels like a pillow, like a really soft pillow. Maybe I could make a pillowcase for some pillows that I have with Suri. Ooh, that'd be really soft. But anyway, that is my Cumulus blouse. I'm really happy and excited about it. I just need to finish the sleeve and the I-cord neck edge. Okay, and then because I finished this sweater, I think it was on Sunday, so it was the day after I filmed last week's video, and it was still the weekend, so it was a Sunday. I was like, I'm going to reward myself by casting on a new project, and it actually took me a bit, like, there's so many things that I want to knit, but it's so hard for me to pick which one I want to do next. So it took me some time, but then I finally decided, and you might be surprised. I'm actually kind of surprised how much of it I got done for a week. Yeah, I only worked on this for a week, but it was, to be honest, it was kind of the only thing I kind of worked on this past week because, well, I'll explain it when I show you the sweater. Excuse me. It is the Orangey sweater. It is a pattern by Beatrice Mase. This is the first time I'm knitting one of her patterns. I actually saw one of her test knitters, like, I saw one of the pictures of one of the test knits for this pattern, and I immediately was like, I want to make it because the texture looks so cool. So let me show you what I have. So it is worked top down. As you can see, this is the neckline, and I got part of the body, like, you know, I got some ways, maybe like 4 inches, 3 inches under the arm done, and then I moved on and I finished an entire sleeve, and now I'm working on the other sleeve right now. And I'll move it closer so you can see this texture, because when I saw this texture, I had no idea, like, what stitch it was, but I knew that I wanted to make it because it looks so cool. And I don't really know how to explain it. It just it's not like checkerboard, but it does have, like, there were, like, lines, and I didn't know how that was made. So I learned that it is called bamboo stitch. So the lines that you can see here that it creates, it's pretty much just a how do I explain? You do a yarn over, you knit 2 stitches and then you take that yarn over and pull it over the 2 stitches that you already made, and so that's kind of how it makes that design, and it makes a really like squishy texture. So the yarn also, okay, I want to talk about the yarn really quick that I'm using. So I am using Woolberry Berry Natural Base, which I also brought one skein that I still have left that I didn't wind up. It is the Berry Natural Base. This is the first time I'm knitting with this base. It is 100% non-superwash, 20.5 micron merino, and yeah, this was the first time that I bought and used a non-superwash from a hand-dyed yarn maker. And Woolberry specifically, I think I saw a story or something on her Instagram that she was saying that her natural base is actually very soft. It's not like super rustic or crunchy and itchy, like it's super soft, and so I was really curious about it. So I'm finally knitting up with it, and it is so soft and squishy. Like, I'm really excited. I'm probably gonna buy more of this base, honestly, because it's just so nice and I really like it, and I'm just so surprised by it. Like, it's really soft. So, and before, I mean, I want to finish. The reason why I think I've knitted so much of this is because I am so excited for the end product of this sweater, because I'm curious to see how this stitch like finishes, like once I'm done with the sweater, block it and wear it, like how it feels and how it looks in person, because I've seen it in pictures, but also just to see how the yarn feels on like while wearing it. So that's why I kind of powered through this sweater so far. And yeah, it has some really cool, I didn't even notice in, like, you can see the details in the pictures, but I didn't like really notice it. But there's some nice details in the back and in the front here. Some little like eyelets, and that is kind of cute. So yeah, I will say I am making, let me check my notes here. I am making size B, which is the second size, and I don't know why. I think that I was trying to look through like the garment, like in the pattern, the schematic, like for the measurements, and I think that's where I decided to do size B instead of size A, because I do want to have a bit of positive ease, and I don't know, I'm a bit confused. I think some of the measurements and the sizing recommendations are kind of confusing to me for this pattern for some reason. So anyway, I'm knitting size B. I feel like it might be a bit large. I feel like I probably could have done size A. So, because if you can see, like, this is the body, and it's very wide. But I'm hoping that I can either, when I block it, just kind of like make it longer so that it kind of shrinks more this way so it doesn't grow really wide, or that it'll just look really drapey and not super like big. So yeah, I'm a bit worried about that, but I'm hoping that it'll turn out to be okay, because I'm honestly just so excited about this sweater, for the stitch pattern, just the overall pattern, and for the yarn. So this is what I've been working on for the majority of this past week. This. The sleeve, the cuff, is a very long twisted rib cuff. And I actually, even though this looks really long, I think, at least to me, I actually shortened it from the pattern recommendations by like a couple or a few inches, because I was like, it's getting kind of long. But I think it'll be extra cozy. So yeah, I'm all about making some cozy, nice sweaters. So I do think, depending on how this comes out, if I do make this pattern again, I probably will make a size A, which is one size smaller than this one, just to see how that goes. But loving the pattern, loving the yarn, and it's just been super enjoyable to knit up. I will say, I wanted to say something about this. Oh, the other reason why I've just been kind of knitting on this week is because the pattern has a lot of instructions. Like, it's good and it's just like needed, but there's a lot of like sections and counting of rows to keep track of, and because the stitch is, even though it's all around the same stitch, it's kind of hard to count and to see certain things, at least for me, and maybe that's just because this is the first time that I'm knitting with this stitch, and so I just want to make sure that I don't forget where I was in the pattern. I could totally just write it down, but I am just that lazy. I don't really ever write down where I am if I stop on a knit. I think mostly because I usually stop where visually you can see where to pick up again. So like I'll do all of like the complicated, like at least for sweaters, like if it's on the top, like do all the increases, decreases, like split for armholes. And once it gets to the body, you're usually good to go. You just keep going until it's the length you want. But for this one, the body has some shaping, waist shaping, and some short rolls, I think, at the end. So I just want to make sure that I don't forget where I was if I stop. So yeah, that's part of it. I'm just really excited about this, and I think it's coming out great. Really like the texture so far. I guess one more thing, I'm a bit worried. I am a big dummy. I did not gauge swatch for this, which I really should have, because since it's a stitch that I've never worked with before, I have no idea how it will potentially change when it's blocked. And I have this horrible feeling that because it's very stretchy, that it might, when I block it or wash it, it's going to expand like a lot, which might be problematic, but I'm just going for it and we'll see how it goes. So that's me not gauge swatching. We'll see. I have hope that it'll be okay. Yeah, I did try it on and I do like how it feels so far. And I don't think I even mentioned the colorway. So the colorway I'm using is Sandcastle from Woolberry, and I also think it's a perfect match for this pattern, if I do say so myself. It is, and on the natural base, it comes out a lot. It's a variegated color, but it comes out a lot more blended as far as the colors go. So it is like a taupe color, pink. There are some moments where there's more pink. Let me try and find one. Maybe here? You can see more pink here, but it definitely has more of those soft brown, soft pink, lighter pink colors in there. And so I really do like that, so that the colors don't distract from the stitch pattern, but still gives some interest. Yeah, so I think that's a lot on this sweater, but it has been the one I've spent a lot of time on and the most time on, so yeah. I'll probably have more things to say about it, but we'll probably see it a couple more times before I finish it, I think, in the podcast, so we can talk about it then. But been loving this and love the yarn. It's just so pretty to look at, honestly. Okay, and then I have one more work in progress that I actually just started yesterday/today, and it is a crochet project. So let me bring it, actually, let me talk about it first. So yesterday I had the urge to crochet something, and I think that's how usually, if I ever end up crocheting something, that's how it happens, is I'm just like, I have this feeling where I'm like, I don't really want to do the motion of knitting, like I want to crochet something. I don't know, let me know if you also knit and crochet, but you maybe prefer knitting, or maybe prefer crocheting more. Like, when do you decide to switch? So I felt the urge to cast on something crochet yesterday, and there were a couple patterns that I saw on Instagram and actually on Sewrella's website. She has a pattern library that's kind of new, maybe like a few months ago, definitely new this year. And one of the patterns on there was a crochet vest or like a tank top, and I thought it was super cute. Like, I don't usually crochet things, but when I do, it's because there's a pattern that I just think is super, super cute. So, well, I also only knit things that I think are super cute, but anyway, yeah, like, when a pattern is just like, oh, I have to make it, like, that's when I'll just be like, I'll figure out how to crochet it because I really want it. So one of those patterns was on her site, and I looked up the designer on Instagram. Her name is Holly Woodward. So her Instagram is Holly Woodward Designs, and honestly, like, I don't, so her designs, her crochet designs are, I think, super, super cute. Like, I don't know what it is about it, but I really like her designs. There's not too many crochet designs that I find really cute. Like, even if there's just some kind of look of crochet that sometimes I don't really like, or it's just not appealing to me as much as like knitted garments or designs. But something about Holly's designs just really drew me to them, and so I went down a whole rabbit hole of looking at crochet designs and finding some really cute ones, and I decided to just do, or at least start with the one that was on Sewrella's website, which is the Ffion vest. I don't know if that's how you say it, but I will have everything I talk about will be written down in the description below so that you can look it up. And so I decided to cast it on yesterday, and this is what I have from it so far. It is a worked bottom up, and it's a tank top or a vest. It's called the Ffion vest, so I guess vest, but you could probably wear it as a tank top. And it has, and it's really hard to tell in this, but there are some eyelet details on the bottom, which I think make it really cute, and then it's double crochet. But I worked on this last night and then this morning, and I thought maybe once I got to the point where I am here and stopped, I would know if I wanted to continue. And here's the thing, I am not, because I don't really crochet, I'm not that experienced, I think, in feeling out the yarns, because to me, I would prefer, I think the crochet, and I could totally be wrong, but for me, the crochet stitches use more yarn, I feel like, and so the fabric that gets created just comes out a bit thicker with the yarn. If you're using the same yarn for crochet versus a knitted thing, it comes out thicker in crochet than knitting, and so the pattern calls for DK weight yarn, but I don't really have DK weight, so I wanted to try it with a fingering weight yarn, because I did that for one of my other crochet tops. Maybe I can wear it on here like next week if I remember. And it actually turned out fine, and I can't even imagine if that top was made in a DK weight or even just a larger weight than the fingering weight, because it already felt like a good fabric, like drape and thickness. So I thought I would do the same here, and so I use a fingering weight yarn, but I think it's just a bit too holey, which, like, you can't even, I mean, maybe in the camera you can kind of tell, but yeah, it's just a bit holey. Like up here, these are just all double crochet, and so it kind of, I think, distracts a bit from the eyelet design that's on the bottom, because everything just looks like holes, and that's just my mistake. But yeah, so I did all this, and I'm gonna probably rip it back, but I was thinking about not showing it on the podcast today, but I decided to show you anyway, because nothing comes out perfect every time, and sometimes sometimes my ideas for yarn and the pattern and the weight just don't really work out, and so I'll probably just rip this out after I'm done filming this and just wait to make something else with it. But I did want to show it because it is a yarn that I haven't worked with yet. Like, I schemed it up yesterday to make it with this, and I do want to mention that this is the Explorer Knits yarn in Denali Sock in the colorway Strawberry Swirl from her Ice Cream Social collection this summer. It does look really cute. I do like the pink, and so it's just, yeah, just nice to see how it looks worked up, even though I'm gonna probably just use the yarn for a different project. Yeah, it's so cute. So that is that. However, I still wanted to make the vest pattern, so I was looking through my yarn stash and actually found it is not DK weight, but I think it'll work. And I've already started, like, earlier this morning. I started working on it again in another yarn because I really want to make this vest, and I had a yarn and I had to see if it would work. So as you can see, it's this purple here. I have another one that still has the band on it. I have this 2 of 1s Color Theory yarn from Lion Brand in the colorway Provence, and it is actually, the weight says medium 4, which I think might be worsted. I think DK is technically a 3, but this is a 4, so it is a bit thicker. But when I looked at the yardage and the weight, so this is 246 yards for 100 grams, and I think actually some DK weight, or I looked at Sewrella's website because I was already on there, and her DK weight I think is 231 yards for 100 grams, which means there's even more yardage in this one than her DK weight, even though this is a heavier yarn, if that makes sense. So I thought that this would work well, so I did kind of do a mini swatch to see, and it might be a bit big, I'm not sure, but that could also be my tension. I find that with crocheting, my tension is super loose compared to like the few people that I've looked at patterns or have crochet patterns with. I have to go down needle sizes for crochet, but so far it looks pretty good, and so I started the Ffion vest with this yarn. So I dropped some stitches, but I'm at least with crochet, it's not like knitting where you have to, like, it doesn't really matter because you just lose one stitch at a time, but with knitting it could just like rip back like everything. Anyway, so this is what I have so far. I don't know if this is the right or wrong side. This is what I have so far. So I'm doing the eyelet details right now, and I think thickness wise it's looking a lot better, so that the double crochet is actually kind of, there's not that much holes unless they're the purposefully made like eyelet holes, versus with this one. Although this one's hard to see too because it's a very variegated yarn, but I think this is going to turn out really nice, and I do like it's a solid color. I think for this design it would look extra nice with a solid color, so I'm excited for that. And yeah, so I think honestly I'll probably actually work on this for a lot of today because I am just so excited to see how this looks and to crochet, because I don't normally have or feel like I want to crochet. So when I do, I want to take full advantage of it and crochet a lot. So as far as sizing goes, I am doing size extra small. I'm hoping it turns out okay. I think it might be a little bit smaller than the recommended sizing or the ease, but I think the small would have been potentially too large. So I went with extra small because I also don't know if my crocheting will grow a lot once I block it, which I could have figured out if I gauge swatched, but I did not. Well, I gauge swatched, but I didn't wet block the gauge swatch. So we'll see. I'm planning for this to grow a bit, so that's why I decided to do a smaller size. But yeah, I think it'll be really cute. And I actually had this yarn. I have 3 balls of this because I was planning on making something else with it, but it was going to be a bag, it's one of the 2 of Wands designs. It's actually I bought this as part of a kit for it, I believe, but it's okay. I don't have to make the bag. I think it'll be fine with this vest pattern. And this, I looked because if there's I want to say 4 more designs of hollies that I want to crochet because it's so cute. I think a couple of them are sweaters, and maybe, there's a wrap top that I think is really cute. And I think they all call for DK weight yarn, and I just don't have DK weight yarn. But if this yarn works out well for this and comes out really cute, then I want to buy more of this. And there's a sale. I checked on Line Brand this weekend. I think it's this weekend. At least it was for today when I looked, that there's a 30% off sale on this yarn. So I might just do that and buy some yarn because I do like it. And if it works, I like the colors. And yeah, it'll work. It's cute. I like it. I want to do it. So I think that might be in the plans for today. Just buy some more yarn. But it's for crochet projects, which I'm excited about, and it rarely happens that I'm excited about crochet projects. So yeah. And the few projects, I think I've made a couple, not bags, maybe baskets in crochet to hold all of my yarn stuff. And then I've made a shawl, a crocheted shawl, and then I've only crocheted 1 tank top. That's the only clothing. I don't know if you can count shawls as clothing garment, but the 1 tank top's the only actual top that I've made in crochet. So this will be my second. And I'm excited to get to learn more about it, honestly. I did learn a new crochet thing while making this top, and it is for the cast on. The way that I've usually seen it and done it, or yeah, seen in patterns and crochet, and how I've just, in general, I think it's probably the easier way to cast on for crochet projects is you chain what you need, and then you start crocheting in that chain to start doing your stitches. But for this pattern, it's set to do a foundational double crochet, and it's where you chain and do the double crochet at the same time, so you don't have to make that long chain first. You kind of do it as you do that first crochet stitch into it, and it makes the edge, this is the bottom edge. I'm holding it upside down now so you can see, but so at the top here is that chain edge, and it actually makes it look really nice. And it was I had to keep ripping out because I had no idea what I was doing, but once I got the hang of the technique, it actually looks really nice. So yeah, new thing that I learned while making this project, even though I'm not that far into it, but yes, so I'm excited about that. If you crochet, let me know in the comments down below because that's exciting. I feel like I'm definitely more of a knitter, but I do like crochet stuff and want to start making more crocheted garments. And I do have some things in my queue, things I want to make. So hopefully we'll see more crochet stuff on here soon. Yeah. So that is that. I keep holding it up. There's not much to see, but I do like it so far. I think the purple will be nice. Pink is definitely more my color, but I think purple is up there too. Surprisingly, I never would have thought that I'm a purple person, but I do think it's kind of in the pinkish realm, if that makes any sense. Maybe it doesn't. Color theory wise, maybe it doesn't, but a lot of things I have, if there's no pink option, I will go for the purple. Like I have a water bottle right here. There was no pink option when I was looking for one, so I got the purple. My phone, I have an iPhone and there was no pink option, so I got the purple. And once I came to that realization that I actually have quite a few purple things, yeah, it's just interesting. Yeah, anything else about this? I think that might be it. Yeah. Okay, so I'll put this back. And that is it for the yarny things and works in progress. I have the urge to cast on something new this weekend, but I am trying to tell myself to not do that unless I finish something. And there are 2 test knits that I haven't touched in a couple weeks, and they're not due until November, so I still have time, but I probably should get back to doing them. Yeah, one of them I have just one more sleeve left to finish and then a ton of ends to weave in, but that should be, you know, like I'm not that far from being done. And the other one is just the rest of the body, which I think might be a few more inches. So yeah, maybe once I feel like I'm done casting on a whole bunch of new projects, I'll go back to those soon. Maybe this week, maybe next week. So I do need to start working on those again, but it's been really fun to work on new projects lately. And yeah, I did finish some things too though, so I don't have just a mountain of new things on top of the old things. So I feel like I've been actually pretty good with not letting things sit on my needles for too long. So yeah, as far as other things, last week I mentioned that I ice skate, and someone did comment that they're also interested or have friends, know people who ice skate and have started ice skating as adults. And I just think that's so cool. Like, I think it's really cool that ice skating kind of has its own like adult ice skating community, which is really nice, because I think a lot of people, and me included, thought that if you don't start as a kid, you're pretty much like, there's no point. But there's actually like a huge adult ice skating community online, and I do actually have a separate Instagram for my ice skating. So if you're also interested, so I have a knitting Instagram, which is at arieknits, the same name as this podcast. But if you're interested in ice skating content for some reason, then I do have another Instagram, and that's at arieknits. So feel free to follow me there too if you'd like. And what else? Oh, I had this idea. I've actually had this thought in my head for some time, even before I started making these videos, about wanting to try out knitting designs or designing some kind of knitting thing. And it's always been a bit intimidating for me because I don't know anything about garment construction or size grading or like anything about that. The only thing I know is like how designs look to me, or patterns look to me when I purchase them and use them. So, but I thought that might be something interesting to maybe try next. I don't want to say next, but it's like, you know, I started off knitting, and then I wanted to learn to crochet, and then I wanted to learn to sew. So I also do some sewing sometimes. And then I am interested in yarn dyeing, and I did try that a little bit. And I still want to also keep dyeing yarn, but it just also is just, you know, there's so many things I want to do and just not enough time to do it. But yeah, and so the next thing I was like, maybe I want to try is trying to design something knitting related. And if not to actually like make a pattern and sell, maybe to just do a self-drafted garment of some sorts. And I am thinking about making some kind of wrap cardigan, which I know that I've made a couple of wrap tops or wrap cardigans, but there is like a particular fit and design that I am imagining that I really, really want, that I just haven't seen anywhere. So yeah, that is what made me think about maybe trying to self-draft something. Maybe eventually turn that into a pattern, but yeah, some kind of wrap cardigan that just fits the way that I would like or am envisioning for a wrap cardigan. If that makes any sense. I don't have anything drawn out or anything like that, but it's just an idea. Yeah, a wrap cardigan of some kind that is just, yeah, it's not one that I've seen yet out there. I mean, it probably exists because there's so many patterns, but I probably just haven't come across it. But anyway, just thought that I would speak to it here because it's a, well, one, it's knitting related, and two, like maybe just talking about it to people who might understand, or maybe even have, like, if you've also were at the point of like you wanted to try and make something without a pattern, like how did you go about it? So anyway, just thought that I'd share it here as well, and maybe just me talking about it will get me motivated to maybe start and do something about that. So anyway, that is it. So I think maybe I'm looking at the time on my camera. I think it's a shorter episode this week, but I hope you don't mind. I would love to know what you are knitting on, or crochet or sewing or whatever kind of craft you are working on while you're watching this, if that is something that you like to do while you watch knitting podcasts. I always find it so interesting what people are working on, and also it gives me ideas for new patterns to maybe cast on in the future, so I do love that, so let me know in the comments below. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, you can follow me at arieknits. I mostly post not really works in progress pictures. For some reason, I just don't take pictures of them, but I do try my best to post my finished object pictures on there, so you can follow me there. And please subscribe to my channel here if you would like, and if you would like to just stay in the know on when I upload my videos. I do try to record on Saturdays and post on Sundays every week, so we'll see how that keeps going. I think I've been doing a pretty okay job at that. And yes, I hope that you are having a great day. I hope you get to relax and get a lot of knitting or crafting done. And with that, I will see you next week. Bye.